Mm, 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 mm. Here's Johnny. Thank you, Ed. Hello, hey, hi. Social media family. Being of any persons among yourselves, I say for my followers, as in subscribers, to even so visitors who could possibly become participants of my YouTube social media channel, chat room conversation, or as some such would be affiliated or associated with and represented in their own right, at least technically, if not as officially as the others, whom I had mentioned earlier. Being that because they themselves would have to do much more than just press the like button to any of my social media broadcasts or video content material. As in, press the subscribe button. So there are many more of them, as some already have, possibly get the same profit as in respect as the others. And move around. That's how y'all doing. And for that matter, how are any of your loved ones being from relatives, as in a.k.a. family members, to friends likewise of your many different immediate personal household. Hopefully all well that ends well. With one many, or at least with more than quite a few. And move around. Again, there's a present social media broadcast, and we have a beautiful content material. Is supposed to be regarding or making reference to and to complement that being the name title to the same as said in question and aforementioned social media, as the present social media broadcast of video content material. I mean, is it like supposedly to some, if not others, they could tend to differ, a crime or a sin to want to live in one of the safe and friendly, prosperous, and multiracial vicinity neighborhood communities? Compare on to this here, excuse my language and pardon my French, I play devil's advocate. This shitty, pissy, ass, poverty-stricken, and crime-ridden neighborhood where I'm presently at. And being given the business of so much shit coming from shithead pieces of shit, neighbors from damn hell, in the same shitty, pissy ass neighborhood, that I'm getting until I could relocate, as in get back to my familiar territory, if you know what I mean. You can try and ask for them back. I mean, these motherfuckers, let me say that, These MFers, uh, the effing idiot sicko neighbor from damn hell, or really something else, And there's this one neighbor next door, neighbor so to speak. Well, he himself is literally actually supposed to be a male relative of the neighbor who is literally actually upon the apartment rental lease document of paperwork, but he's in the hospital himself as of the present moment in time, whereas whoever's male relative of his, be himself a son or nephew otherwise, is supposed to be chilling as in holding down the fort for him until he himself can or could possibly return from a hospital and resume his status as a resident or tenant paying annual monthly rent, utilities, etc. for the unit's atmosphere of a place, a resident of apartment next door to that of my own. Then, nevertheless, this male relative of his is proven to have become or be a real dickhead prick, just as much as the neighbor from damn hell are like this kind of an apartment complex above that of my own, who be misbehaving like one is attempting to replace a substitute for the last main neighbor from down hell, who is or was and used to stay on the same floor level plan in the building here, a couple of few apartment doors down from my own. Now, you all are probably wondering, wondering why I put it that way, who is or was. Imagine hearing two different stories as to why himself, a former ex-main neighbor from down here of a local vicinity area, neighborhood community, drug pushing, and a dope dealer, is not any longer on the same floor level plan, and not, yes, and neither or nor is any longer, a couple of few apartment doors down from me in the same building. Whereas she used to give me the business on quite a regular daily and night basis, much more often than not. After he got wind that I'm the one that had, ratted or knocked on him for his late night illegal criminal activities, for how he would go in and out of one or two back doors to the building, and being the one that is, more so than the other, the one next to my apartment door, causing me to lose sleep and wake up late and start my day off late. Ever since then, was off to races with him picking at me, And imagine hearing that the only reason why he himself is not here now, whom the neighbor upstairs is misbehaving, this neighbor from down here upstairs is misbehaving like one is attempting to replace or substitute for him. Was imagine hearing that former ex-main neighbor from down here, whereas you hearing from two different persons, like one person says that he could have possibly moved, whereas another person is saying that he got popped with a poo-poo coming from a rival drug pusher of a male of the same sex. At the same time, he himself is about to bust a nut, and his woman that's laid down with the others standing behind him after having made like a worse party crasher as an intruder, a home invader, and is about to bust a cap in the back of the skull of his head at the same time. He himself is about to bust a nut in his woman. Whereas the same former ex main neighbor from down here, he used to try to give me the business one guy, another more than one. And like say, for example, couple few times he nearly rode his bicycle or bike to simply say into my person was just a couple few inches away from my physical body as he crept up behind me and then rode alongside of me and didn't bother to say excuse me. So that told me right then and there that he had himself had done that on purpose, not by accident. One of them times he parked his bicycle or bike in front of me and was saying more or less, let me show you something. So I pulled out my cell phone. I said, well, let me let my police friends know that you have got something for me that you want to show me. Then my person, and just as quick as he rolled up on me, he rolled off. You know? And then there was another time he had his car parked alongside the building, right across the street from the local mass transit of a public transportation system with all these many different buses and train routes. And whereas I'm venturing out at night, not that I'm a night owl, I would only think to venture out at night. I don't even think I was so much as one when I was up under the influences of a drink or drug. My drug of choice being Snoop Doggy Frog, Hard Wacko weed. But anyway, though, how much less would I think to venture out at night as a sober person who's in recovery now? Anyways, I would only think to do so to go check on some of such loved ones, or relatives, or family members, or friends, my own immediate personal household. Here it is. He's, got his car parked alongside the building and right across the street from this mass transit. And I'm venturing out at night to go pay my brother visiting the hospital. He's like, to my hold it right there, something. But I kept walking toward the train station. And I wasn't about to stick around and find out. I had to call the police on him for that illegal criminal incident of a hate crime or civil and human rights violation offense in his own right. And then he runs down the sidewalk behind me a few times in the past. And I was originally going to become part of ridership for the local mass transit public transportation system with all these buses and train routes. I was going to catch a train, but I had to take a detour and catch a bus route much rather instead. And I had to call the police on him for that incident in his own right. And then he pulled the same crap as this time I'm coming back from the hospital at night and I see him in the front entranceway of the building talking on his own personal cell phone. He could have possibly had some homies already there in the building of confident crime, as well as he could have probably been talking to one on his cell phone. So I had to change my mind, take a detour, and try to enter the building via one or two back doors. Here it is. I barely made it into my apartment. After unlocking my apartment door and then closing my apartment door and locking it back, he's standing outside my apartment door, cussing and swearing like a drunken sailor and misbehaving like he himself is practically, if not possibly, on the verge, whatever I've said in the state for record, like he himself is upon the verge of kicking my apartment door in extreme, violent, physical kind of ways to attempt to do me some or such severe, serious bodily harm or hurt, harm, and danger, in ways I barely managed to get off in Mercy's telephone call to the police, although my cell phone was dying, and at the same time, I'm recharging it. I'm calling and let them know that there's trouble in paradise, And whereas he himself has a habit of going in and out of one or two back doors more than the other one. That's the one next to my apartment door. Although the lock mechanism is messed up and needs repairs, and whereas therefore he would prop something in between the door and the board and make sure he can come and go as he pleases as easily as he could with the other back door to the building that needs not any repairs because there's nothing wrong with its lock mechanism. Whereas the back door next to my apartment door, the back door to the building next to my apartment door, you can go out, but you can't come in unless you pop something between the door and the border. Yeah. Anyway, though, getting back to this other neighbor from down hell, I say who has proven himself to have become and be just as much of a public nuisance problem neighbor as the one in an apartment above that my own who is misbehaving like one is attempting to replace the substitute for the last main neighbor from down hell, whom I had described to you all much earlier, and the different case scenarios of himself attempting to sweat me, as he would have done so for the present, depending on whether or not he's still living as he had done in times past on a day-night basis. And whereas other neighbors from down here who was not even on an apartment lease across the way from me, who's supposed to be a male relative of the neighbor who is literally actually on an apartment rental lease agreement document paperwork, where he's in the hospital and this male relative of his is holding down the fort until he will return to his place of residence, that the other male, being of a relative of his, is residing in his unit of a place of residence apartment. And he's really proven to be a real public nuisance problem neighbor, dickhead prick neighbor from down here. You know, and as I suspect, one of the main ones who be bothering with my apartment door. You know, so that's I'm sure give him on time. And here it is, a management of the building, of real estate, administrative representative personnel is like, it's like they are attempting to get in on act. They scheduled me for an appointment for an inspection. And I'm like, damn. Well, one that's never ceased. I'm trying to get out of this damn dump. This shithole, hellhole with shitty, pissy ass, shithead pieces of shit neighbors from damn hell characters. And they scheduled me for an appointment for a house inspection. Ain't that a blip? And where I'm barely going about taking care of my business, my own personal survival. Although I had lately been waking up rather late, then because this one neighbor from down here in an apartment above that of my own just keep pumping poisonous gases into my place, like say from knocked out gas to render me unconscious during the daylight hours to gases of different kinds, sorts of types to keep me awake all night during the evening hours, you know, to cause me once I were to possibly finally be able to go to sleep at the crack of dawn, you know. From there, he would cause me to wake up late and start my day off late, you know. He or she, or depending on whichever one's gender is. One could be a female impersonator or a bull dagger that looks so much like a man, or whatever the case is. And you say that this person is really trying to get in the business. And with the gases, this person, or this neighbor from down here of character, person of interesting criminal riffraff character, neighbor from down here in the apartment above that my own, is either pumping gases, poisonous toxic fumes of gases into my own unit's atmosphere, placed back in the apartment, either via that the ventilation system or light fixtures or one of the AC, DC electrical wall outlets. You know, and proving oneself to be just as much, if not worse, as that one missing. No, worse yet. Unless the other neighbor can compare, suppose the so-called neighbor who's a relative of the neighbor that literally actually on an apartment rental lease agreement document where she just holding down the fort, this male relative here. Whereas I get thinking about both of these characters, whether or not they could possibly have pushed the envelope by committing illegal criminal acts of trespassing. I might use that for a place where an apartment where it would be bad enough if one were to do that when I'm gone from the building, trying to take care of some necessary business at hand for my own personal survival. And I think that worse yet, one could possibly attempt to do so commit an illegal criminal act of trespassing while I'm here upon the premises of properties of my place of residence or unit atmosphere of apartment that I pay annual monthly rent to, for, yes, could possibly do that while I'm here, commit an act of illegal criminal trespassing, and without my knowledge as well as without my permission. And like I said, is it a crime or a sin to want to live in a better neighborhood compared to where I'm at now? Whereas I wish a certain person I'm trying to take care of necessary business in hand to get up out of here and quit pussyfooting, and to think that the management scheduled me for an inspection of my unit, and was actually going to take time away from me searching for an available apartment vacancy, available and an affordable apartment vacancy elsewhere in one of the better neighborhoods, But I want to get out of here. These characters here, man, trust me. These public news problem neighbors and neighbors from down here, they ain't nothing nice. I mean, they funky and foul as damn hell. Yeah. And I want to get out of here so bad I could taste it, as I say. Well, if I weren't thinking, I'd like to flip the bird to any one of them after meeting person. Flip the bird to them. And if they want to get froggies, I dial the emergency number for the boys in blue, the po-po, the cops or the police, and have them arrested for physical assault, Although I would exercise my right and privilege, I was saying to exercise self-defense. But especially I'd drop a dime on them to the po-po. And then have them cart them away off to somewhere else, where they can have more than enough time to think about what they did, especially if it is threatening the life of another neighbor, Yeah. I mean, these neighbors are stupid and sick. Well, more creepy and cowardly than stupid and sick. And making like from the midnight cowboys to worse yet, the spooks that sit by the door. So I just thought to share that with you all. I'm so sick and tired of this neighborhood and certain neighborhoods. Ain't no joke. But then on this last note of interest, I would like to conclude by saying in more words, with this slight interjection, where I'm going to have to save up more money for moving expenses, not to mention to pay the first month's rent to a new future landlord in one of the better neighborhoods. Again, getting back to some such other in closing. If you have not gotten Christ as your own personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now. While the blood is still running warm in your veins, for recognizing and realizing what He Himself had done and did upon the cross of Calvary on the hill of Golgotha. I apologize, sorry for butchering the English language and American dialect. And whereas He was crucified at the hands of Roman soldiers up under orders of their superiors, being more so mainly mostly a religious Pharisees and Sadducees, but then God, who had come in human flesh to restore the breach between Himself and mankind made in His image, had permitted Himself to be crucified so that anyone, regardless of race, walk of life, gender, age, and etc., who profess faith in Him, won't have to worry about ending up in the lake of fire down hell, but could be permitted to become citizens of the kingdom of heaven, and likewise, share the gospel message of salvation so that others could become some of themselves and be about the sharing as well. You all take care and be safe, and we're out. Peace.